Well, hello, everybody. The DUI guy is back. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you all are doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful on this beautiful evening, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Um, Here we are on the final stretch of the 250,000 of you guys. This is not just I love to think about this just generally speaking, because it's not just a random fictional number of like accumulated funds in your bank account, or number of books that you read, or number of hours spent watching a TV show. This is you, every single one of you, like literally. um that's you guys. That number right there, every single one of you that is subscribed is currently part of that number. Like, that's just never in the history of the world, up until like 15 years ago, when I guess YouTube was created, has there ever been a concept like that. In order for news networks to get their quote unquote ratings for the year, they had to send out surveys and stuff to like people's houses, I think. And people would fill them out and send them back, and they'll be like, all right, so viewership is up here, or it's down here, or whatever. And now you literally can have like a number, like this is how many people have watched me, or are watching me, or subscribed to me as a creator, not just like me as a person, but but pretty much any creator, really. Tug sends his love and congratulations. Dude, Tug, I swear to fucking God, I love that man. Um, I love that man so much. He's done, first of all, he's one of the pioneers, right? So Tug, I did not know this. Tug, and so that umbrella guy and that Brian fella, Brian McPherson, and that umbrella guy. By the way, welcome to AJ Stone as a member. I just saw your, I didn't miss you. Thank you so much for joining on as a member. AJ Stone, welcome, welcome, welcome to the grills. Um, I, how many years ago? I think like 2.5 years ago, Tug and Brian are the two, as far as I know, as far as I've seen on the internet. I know for a fact there might be more, but I know for a fact those two have been absolutely instrumental um, in getting the word out for Johnny Depp and his innocence in this whole thing. The fact that he's not an abuser, the fact that he has not done those things to Amber that she so aptly claims that he did. Brian had like tapes that he was able to get his hands on. Tug has been making videos for months. I remember seeing the Amber Heard stands had like a graphic. You all remember the graphic on Reddit, I think it was, or somewhere. I don't know. Maybe their Discord. I really don't care. And they had all of us listed in like order of priority of how much time and effort we put in. By the way, that was awesome to see my name on there. That was beautiful. But Tug, I remember seeing like 18 months worth of videos or something. I mean, he's been around the block, and now seeing him continuing the grift is incredible. I love to see it. Hey, Heather. She's like, I'm a Tug girl. What's up? Robin Green Day. We love you. Keep on keeping on. Oh, you got it, Robin. I will continue to do that. And Harry Potter's beard is here. Holy crap! Harry Potter not only has a beard, but it's also in the chat, y'all. That is gnarly. Have I seen Popcorn the other day? Popcorn Planet. Are you talking about them meeting Johnny Depp with Laura B and all that? If so, yes, I have. That was absolutely incredible. I mean, there's just so much happening. Give me just a moment, you guys. I'll be right back. 1 second. All right, sorry about that, you guys. Anyway, yeah, welcome, Ashley. Thanks for joining. I'm just trying to sort a couple things out here. I may have a knock on the door in a minute. As you all can see, I am not home. I am traveling currently. The here's some money to make the stands. Just Laura. Thank you so much. I'm traveling, and I will. You all will not know where I am for a little bit. I'm in the process of doing a couple of things. If you want a DUI emoji, Miss Kitty, all you have to do is join. It's like 99 cents. I have like the cheapest membership that it will allow me available. So if you want to sign up, we have tiers. They go all the way up to like $30, but there's a 99-cent option. So you all will you all are more than welcome to join on as a member, and you'll have access to all of those. Yeah, it will not be revealed at this juncture. It will not be revealed, but it will be revealed very, very, very soon. And we are going to have a good time together. I have my thumb guy. He knows where I'm at. My thumb guy knows where I'm at. Shout out to you, thumb guy. He's preparing the thumbs for the fuckery that will ensue over the next few hours, few days, few weeks. Who knows? Matrix, my homie, you, my friend, are a voice for the law, he says. Thank you kindly. You're too much. I was raised in a law enforcement family, and you showed me the other side. Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Wish I'd become a forensic pathologist, but I am happy being a hospice nurse. Oh, that is so cool. Good for you, man. Or I think Matrix is a male. If this is the same Matrix from, if this is the same Matrix from my Twitch, then it's a guy. But it might be a different Matrix, so I don't know. Welcome, Patty. Welcome, Redheaded Dame. And welcome, Bubbles, to the channel. It's so good to see you. Oh, and welcome, Sandy. Sandy Nichols. I'm a girl. Oh, okay. Different Matrix. sorry. I'm so sorry. Like the Canadians say, the ones that I ran into in the line to get my car. I'm so, like, he's like, I'm from Canada. I'm like, oh, welcome to America. I'm so sorry. Because I like to apologize. Cherries Jubilee, welcome. Thank you for the sticker, Jade. And welcome, Kat, as a member. I'm sorry. Hold on. One more second, you guys. By the way, I received word from the chat that has been relayed to me that Tug wanted a link, so uh, I sent Tug a link on his. Oh, he responded. 1 second. So I'm on StreamYard. I sent him a link. So Tug says he wants to come in and have some fun together. He said he can join for a few, but he's saying that he's having trouble with StreamYard. It keeps dropping on him, so he's gonna see if he can fix it. Welcome, Ginger Snap. Welcome, Lisa. Lisa Hayes as a member. Yes, yes. Hopefully, redheaded dame. Hopefully, Tug is coming. Well, I might as well. AA, you have a question? Shout it out in the chat. What's up, brother? What can I help with? I swear to God, if you start asking for legal advice, heads are gonna fucking roll. Okay. This is not the time to like have. All right, so tell me about your legal issues. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh man, I love you guys. But some people just like randomly pop in and be like, "So listen, so I have this totally unrelated to anything family law issue. I know you don't specialize in it, and it's in a jurisdiction where you don't know the law. So do you mind if I just ask you a question publicly on stream?" I love those. I absolutely love those because I'm like, what do you expect me to do? Like, let me freeze and pause everything that I'm doing and just answer your private legal question that I, number one, cannot answer because I don't practice in that jurisdiction. I don't know a lick of thing about because this is not the area of law that I practice in. My dad told me when I graduated law school, he's like, from this day forward, assume that every single person who ever finds out that you're a lawyer are going to assume out of the gate that you know everything about everything related to law everywhere in the country and in the world. And I'm like, yeah, I don't see that happening. And then like a year after I graduated law school, I was like, yeah, it's happening. So um oh yeah, I was in the live stream yesterday, Kappa. I was in the live stream, not in person, but in the chat with Tug. And there was this teenager twit on TikTok who like tried to smear him or something. I watched like I saw the tail end of her clip. Like Tug was analyzing. He's analyzing like a 2 minute TikTok video. It takes him about an hour to analyze the 2 minute TikTok videos, which is about as long as it takes me to read and analyze Curious George. So I can see um, I am absolutely on board with that. I totally get it. I totally get it. I'm the same way. I'm the exact same way. Like every tiny little thing is gonna get dissected. And some 19-year-old fool just doing fuckery. She challenged him. What? Sorry, my thing is delayed. I don't know if I think it's the internet here. The internet here is not muy bueno. It's not too bueno. But yeah, we have more Curious George coming your way. We have some special stuff in the works. Of course, we have Amber Heard's Depot, the final reaction video. That's going to be up in the works. So I'm very excited about that. 250 is just the start to your world domination. Welcome, mad scientist. I fucking love you, man. Good to see you. Yeah, that's me as a nurse. Can you tell me if my irregular bowel movements mean cancer? Also, sometimes I hiccup after eating. Nurses get it no better. Nurses, doctors, lawyers. I mean, hell, probably CAs, tax advisors. Oh, so I have a tax question. Do you mind if I like ask you about for free, obviously, so that you don't have to charge me or anything? Oh, and of course, who do we have in the chat? It is none other than I give to you, the umbrella guy. Maybe.
There we go. Hey, how's it going?
See, this whole stream is like glitching on me. I am so sorry, you guys. It's the internet connection in this flat that I'm in. Hey, Tug, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah. Can you not hear me? Did you just lock up?
I see you, but I cannot hear you.
Let me see if the chat hears me. Hey, chat, can you hear me? I see the sound on me. Yeah, that's weird. You can't hear me. They can't hear. He can't hear me. I could take over right now. That's funny. He can't hear me there. You know, it'd be really funny if you typed in the chat. You'd be like, "How dare you say that, Tug?" You know, it'd be real funny because he can't hear me at all. You'd be like, "How dare you say that? Oh my gosh, really?"
What did you do to my stream, Tug?
Hey, there's two of you. What's
There's
up?
like 3 of me, man. How you doing, brother?
I was messing with you, man. I was gonna get the chat. I thought you couldn't hear me still. I was getting the chat to be like, "How dare you say that, Tug?"
Oh, okay. I ruined it. I ruined the joke. I'm
That
so
would have been
sorry.
hilarious. You'd be like, "Oh my god, what's going on?" I'm doing good, man. Hey, congrats on the 250 right there, man. Getting there.
Almost.
Yeah.
I figured I'd do this stream and milk the grift.
Heck
You
yeah,
know,
man.
that's what I did with my. It's hard to believe that I hit 100,000 just a short year ago. It's really come so fast.
Mhm. Yeah, man. We need another high profile case to goof off on and make fun of everybody with.
No doubt.
Then we jump into 500,000, you know.
You are on your way, man. That big $500,000 has got your name written all over it.
Oh man, yeah, I got to start covering. I would have switched topics, just to be honest, about a month ago. But man, every time I do it, like somebody drop, like the Washington Post or someone drops a hit piece, and I'm like, man, I ain't stopping yet. This makes these people so mad.
I was watching you ridicule that teenager who was uh, basically defending Amber. I didn't watch the whole thing. I caught the
No.
end of it. That's when I joined the stream yesterday. And it's just, to me, to be completely honest, knowing how history operates, and I'm sure you are no stranger to the concept, when you have a niche of people that are trying to erase facts, erase history, rewrite their own facts and their own agenda, slowly but surely, give it 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and all of these lies are then portrayed on as facts.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people who are like supporting Amber and she was abused and all that, you're going to have a faction of people who never watched the trial. I mean, we already have them. It's just that there's a very strong counter with the Johnny Depp side, and there will come a time. I mean, look at the easiest example I can think of is the Holocaust, and the people who actually were there, most of them, if not pretty much all of them at this point, are nearly extinct. They've died of old age.
Mhm.
and they're not around anymore. Nobody can speak, yes, I was there, I can tell you what happened. And um, there's a huge movement to basically dispel the notion that the Holocaust ever happened, which is terrifying.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like my grandfather, he served, and one of the things he witnessed concentration camp. Never talked about it until the end of his life, and it was horrifying. A few of the things that he talked about with it, and I can't imagine telling him, that there will be people that believe that none of this ever happened. It will become mainstreamed in some way. But I mean, with the Amber Heard stuff is even worse because the media has already clamped on to this idea. They have not only this niche amount of people, but again, they have a very loud microphone.
Hmm. And the most terrifying part of all this is that the mainstream media, with their loud um, megaphone, if you will, are shouting lies from the rooftops.
Mm,
So that has a profound effect. And but for creators like you, that Brian fella, Nate, Rob, Ian, me, Nick, none of this would have come to light. I mean, I remember, I don't know if I ever told you. So this is the last week of the trial. This is either the next to last day of testimony or the last day of testimony. So that Wednesday or Thursday, May 27, 28, whatever it is. Uh, Actually, that's where I met Ann Jeanette. So I've seen her for a few days, Ann Jeanette Levy from Law and Crime.
mm.
And she comes up to me and she says, Larry, would you like to do an interview? And I give her a fucking bombshell, in my opinion. I know I'm biased, but I was like eccentric and charismatic and convincing and all that in my support of Johnny Depp. I said, Johnny's going to win. I looked at her camera. She interviewed me, and I basically told her, and here is why. Johnny's going to win. I predicted his victory. And I asked her, like, when is it going to air? Because I want to make sure that it airs before the jury comes back with a verdict. So to see, was I right or was I wrong? Maybe I was wrong. I always tell people, like, it's not about being right. It's about the confidence with which you say things.
Sure.
Right. So that interview never aired. It never came to light. It's because her director or whoever was like, this is not pro Amber Heard stuff. We're not interested. That was
Yeah.
pre-verdict.
Well, I mean, there was such a concerted effort to lock out anything that they saw as not necessarily pro Depp, but as, like you said, anti Amber, and that went on for years. I mean, it was so bad that TMZ, for sure, they passed on the body cam footage when that came out. You know, they would pick up anything else, but they passed on that bombshell. They let it be covered by, I think it was the Daily Mail that ended up picking it up.
It's possible. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, you think about, again, I mean, that's big clicks for them. Anything that had been part of that story, like the cabinet slamming video that they put up a piece of, that got on millions of hits, and the body cam footage, it got quite a bit of play, and it would have been big for them. And like I said, they let it they let it pass. So
And it wasn't all that bad at the end of the day. I had a case that I represented an individual that was shot and killed by police officers. And we ended up losing the case in district court, U.S. district court, and we lost it on appeal, which I think both were wrongful, but we drew terrible judges. If we had drawn different judges, we actually had a chance, but we literally drew like the anti-defendant, pro-police judges. So we had basically no chance. As soon as we saw the names, we were like, oh, we're fucked. But it was still worth a shot. And his whole shtick was he was high on meth, breaking car windows, hitting cars. He was attacking property. He was breaking shit. He had a weapon in his hand, but he wasn't harming anyone. He even broke the windshield of the chief's car. He could have hit the chief. The chief came out of the car. He had every opportunity to bash him over the head if he wanted to, but he didn't. And the government put the stance of, well, eventually they shot and killed him. they took the stance of, well, he was he could have hit somebody, like he threatened to hit somebody. None of this was recorded. None of this ever happened. And the same thing here, Johnny hitting cabinets, hitting property, breaking shit. This is how sometimes some people take out their anger. As long as it's not directed towards another human being, another individual, sure, it sucks, but it's not to. I mean, it's to be maybe a little bit to be concerned of if the emotion is ever directed towards another human. But if it's not, then I mean, who of us can honestly say that we've never broken anything in our lives in anger?
Well, it's a coping, in mental health, we teach people appropriate coping skills. Breaking things is an inappropriate coping skill, but it nonetheless is a coping skill. It keeps you from hitting people, doing actual bodily harm to people. And the reason it's inappropriate, you break your stuff, you may do damage to self and property, so you need something better. But yeah, I mean, these people pretending that somehow in some way means that you're going to do physical harm to somebody. No, it might mean quite the opposite.
Yeah. And you in your profession, I'm sure you encounter individuals where you have to teach them how to use different coping mechanisms and different coping skills with the trauma that they've experienced in their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all handle situation the best we can. Again, everything with Deb, really, you could explain off as abuse. Again, the increase in alcoholism, again, the manifestation of anger, directing it at inanimate objects. You could, if Amber Heard was doing this stuff, you would have everybody out there saying, well, she's an imperfect victim. This is a manifestation of abuse. But for him, dude out there doing it, no. He's got to be a monster.
Right. The bias is showing.
Very much so.
Welcome, Jenny Norlen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly in the chat as a member. Welcome. Thank you, MP. This is a running joke that we had earlier about nurses, doctors, and lawyers, how we always get asked the question. You'll be randomly at a party, minding your own business, having a drink, socializing, and somebody will be like, oh, you're a lawyer? Listen, I have a legal question for you. Or, oh, you're a nurse? Hey, can you look at this little lump I have under my... It's just never ending. Matrix says Tremaine and Baruch Mommy Muffins sealed the case. We all have our moments. However, we don't cut off others' fingers and lie about it.
True that. True that.
So true. I still can't. I remember the testimony because I was in the courtroom for part of it. The testimony of Amber when she was cross-examined about the finger incident, and she tried to kind of paint it, if I remember correctly, as he did it to himself, and basically we have the text messages to prove it, right?
Yep.
It's absolutely insane. I can't imagine what he was going through in that moment as a musician, as a human. I've had like a tooth just go, like a chunk of a tooth, like a little chipped tooth or something, and you kind of feel it with your tongue, and you already feel like a piece of you is missing. I don't know if you ever gone through a similar experience, but
I can't imagine the follow-up to that, someone putting a cigarette out on your face like that. You in your mind, you could try to rationalize the bottle incident, and I'm sure he did. In that, well, she threw it, this happened. I'm sure there's some but how do you rationalize someone again putting a cigarette out on your face? Like that speaks to me more than anything else. I think that should have been highlighted. People got stuck on the horror of the finger, and it is horrible, but people glanced over. I think the worst thing there. Again, the cigarette on the face. That has it's so intentional. I mean, you have to go out and want to do harm to somebody to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure what this is in reference to, but I think one of your supporters, based on the image that they're showcasing, they're saying, "Show me the pic." Do you know
Could
what
show
this
Larry
might?
the pick. Which pick?
It's a
I don't know what.
fantastic question.
Yeah, I'm not sure which pick. I see Kappa. Which pick is that? I don't know. It's late, so I'm like, which pick exactly? Uh,
Maybe they'll
yeah,
Johnny
maybe
on
they'll.
the hospital. Oh, Johnny on the hospital bed. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
with
yeah,
the finger. Yeah, yeah. I've seen that photo, and I
yeah.
think it was. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the courtroom too.
Oh yeah, yeah. It came up. I mean, that was one though that was treated like it was fantasy for the longest time. You had people because Depp, he hadn't come out and he hadn't told his story. We'd seen bits and pieces of it, and we didn't really have confirmation of that until 2020, and then it was in your face when he was talking about it in 2022 in this trial. In 2020, it was brought up. She blamed it on him. She said, just like the finger, yeah, he did it to himself. Oh, he was really high and he put a cigarette out on his face. I've known a lot of people that have done a lot of drugs. I myself have been in a lot of inebriated positions, and I've never thought for an instant I'm going to put a cigarette out on my face.
That's like some reefer madness shit. Like
Exactly, exactly.
I'm invincible. I can put cigarettes out on my face, jump out the window. I'm totally fine.
Yeah, and I mean, people do suffer drug psychosis, but I have never seen somebody like if they were going to do bodily harm, like if they were going to injure self, they don't do like a one and done scenario. Like if someone were going to burn themselves, they're just not like, hey, okay, that was fun. I'm going to stop here. You know, it's you would have more incidents logged.
Yeah, you probably have a pattern rather than
Mhm.
just an isolated incident, right?
Yep.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's just like cutters or anything else. You actually, I mean, again, her story. There's, I got to the point with a lot of her stories where you look for the truth in the matter instead of the lie in it.
Hmm. Yeah, most definitely. Um, Coffee cake, going back to the whole Holocaust analogy of facts get forgotten if they're not spoken consistently.
Hmm.
Says, I talked to a couple from Schindler's List. So Schindler's List, for those of you who are unfamiliar, it's a movie, but it's also based on a true story about an American businessman who, there's two sides to the story. They portray him as a hero in the film, but realistically, well, here's what he did. He hired just under 1,000, I think it was at its peak, Jewish people in Germany who worked in his factory. And when the German Nazis came by and said, release your Jews to us, we would like to send them off to the concentration camps, he said, I can't. They're my employees. They work for me. Go take a hike. Thereby saving all of those men and women's lives. So there are some people who argue that he did it for selfish reasons because Jewish labor was cheap. He could pay them literally whatever he wanted. They weren't going to go anywhere because it's get paid and live, or whatever they get paid, or die. That's kind of like a no-brainer. But there is the flip side to the coin that show him as a hero, as a savior of the Jewish lives that he saved. And there's also a famous photo, or I think maybe even a video clip, where years after the war was over, this is like maybe in the 90s or 2000s even, there was kind of a homecoming where they all brought the people who were still alive, and Schindler himself, I believe, was still alive. So it must have been the 90s, maybe even the 80s. I honestly don't remember what year the clip was made. But anyway, that's Schindler, Mr. Schindler. And I'm guessing you're talking about a couple from Schindler's List for those people that survived in his factory that could not even get into elevators because of the trauma that they sustained. That's horrifying.
Yeah, I
Our,
mean,
our
you would.
conversation went to a dark place today. Go ahead, Tug. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, like I said, my grandfather. When he sat down, I mean, it just the secondhand, seeing what was there was traumatic. So we can't even imagine what living was like. It's yeah, you're gonna have the trauma there. It would hold on to you for a lifetime for sure. It would be hard to be able to move past it, to move past the victim stage and move into the survivor stage where you can move forward. I mean, that stuff, I imagine people who survived it still shut them down. That's just, it's unimaginable.
Yeah. It's not something that we will ever be able to understand. And I don't think any of us really want to be completely honest.
No. It does bother me, like you're saying, though, that we get into this distortion of reality where it's so easy. We hear people that love to use little talking points like fake news or whatever, but we really do have people that go out and they just bold-faced lie about what something is. And if you yell the lie loud enough and you repeat it often enough, like you said, they'll also manipulate evidence. They'll show pieces of it without showing the rest of it. It takes it out, they mischaracterize, or they literally create disinformation. They add it to it. And there are a lot of people out there that think, yeah, and they've added bots to that too. So if you look at 80 people, it looks like liking a post. Hey, but if you look at 10,000 people liking a post, maybe that gives it more credence too.
Mm-hmm. That's what they've been doing.
Yep.
I remember in the outset of my journey into the Johnny Depp trial back in late May, late May, when I got the Twitter following because of what I was tweeting about, exclusive content from the trial, about the jury. I was asking questions and I was looking at posts. Now, my questions were a little bit skewed, at least audience-wise, because the people who followed me were mostly Johnny fans for the most part. But then I started looking at hashtags of like Justice for Amber Heard and I Stand with Amber Heard on Twitter, just to kind of see how big is that following. And interestingly enough, that following never really truly took off until after the trial was over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you did any hashtag searches. I can confirm that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And the posts that said like I stand with Amber Heard, Justice for Amber, were literally 1%, if not less, of the pool of supporters in the trial. It was fascinating. I literally thought like this is just going to be a quick, one and done. But somehow after it was all over and she lost, they all came out of the woodwork. And all of a sudden there's like a whole horde of them like trampling. And that's when we learned about the bots and all that. But there's still like these individuals who amass a fairly decent following. I've seen posts that like support Amber that get hundreds or sometimes thousands. And I don't know, are some of those bots, are some of them legit?
Some of them are. Well, if you look at some of the numbers that pop up, I mean, some of the numbers are going to be genuine, but if you look like at Depp posts, many of them, that will top out at 20, 30,000 hits. And I mean, big ones. All right. When you compare that to, you'll see a a retweet about Amber Heard. I saw one the other day. It hit 230,000 likes. That doesn't happen. It just simply doesn't happen. I mean,
Wow.
that's like an Elon Musk post these days. He goes from about 200,000 to the high of 700,000. And on retweets, you don't ever get that kind of traffic, but some of her posts do. And when people see that, again, a lot of people are scared into social silence. They think, oh, the tide is changing. I need to go along with that.
That's a curious observation. I have not seen a post with that many. That's an insane number.
Yeah, I saw one when there was one with 130,000 that happened. God, with all that Cat 10 barge madness, all that mess when they were inflating. I can't remember
Oh,
that
when her
account.
and Laura B went head to head
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
that account, like there was stuff with that, and then with this current stuff going on with the show and Rihanna, you would have people though that would retweet something. It would have no searchable tag, so it doesn't say Johnny Depp, doesn't say Rihanna or anything. It's just a retweet, and that would end up with 100,000 plus hits. That, like I said, that doesn't happen. It was,
Mm-mm.
you could see false inflation of items, and I find that curious because when you look at it, you ask why, and I think that's to convince people socially that the tides change because a lot of people they'll follow whatever. I mean, they're afraid. Listen and believe culture. It's managed to hold on so long because a lot of people are afraid to speak up. They're afraid if they do, they will be canceled. And that's true. Many people will be canceled and they'll go along with it. So if Amber Heard, if they feel the tide's changing, they will go along with it.
That's the nature of human nature and human behavior. As I'm sure, much like myself, you have studied in your past, we know that humans tend, for the most part, tend to like to be right. They like to be on the side that is for justice, for positivity, for love, happiness. And so far that has been Johnny Depp and it will continue to be for the foreseeable future. But like you said, there is always the danger of the tide flipping if there is enough of a push. But here's the flip side to every here's a Newtonian principle, right? For every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. In order for the tide to turn, because artificially anything can happen. Artificially you can create an account with bots and have bots supported, and all it takes is a bit of coding and a bit of time. But to truly create a natural upheaval of natural law, which in this case, justice for Johnny, Johnny got his justice, Johnny won, blah, blah, blah. In order for that to be overturned, you need a very strong force. But here's again the problem: the force will be met with an equal and opposite reaction from Johnny's camp. So if Amber's supporters, stands, whatever you want to call them, begin a flood of, and it's been happening. I mean, no, I don't even need to say it. Look at Twitter over the last few months.
Mhm.
Anytime there is a Amber Heard deserves an apology, there's also Amber Heard is an abuser and Johnny is a legend, all trending at the same time. You rarely see one of those trending without the other. They're like companion trenders. I don't know if you've been paying attention to that.
Oh yeah. The difference though is, when to get justice for a male victim, you had to have a worldwide consensus saying yes, that guy was victimized. I mean, pretty much people universally agreed. When the trial ended though, many people checked out. And even if they held on, I mean, we're talking months later, so by now, a lot of people have moved on. That's where you get into your problem. Like you're saying,
Yeah.
a long enough timeline, that's where the danger is. Unfortunately, in this social media world, what would have taken decades in the past it's like we have that accelerated because, there's access to tools that are literally allow people to rewrite history, and especially again with the media on board. I mean, it's a fascinating case study, but it's scary. It's scary to watch because, God, if
It
they can
really
do it with
is.
something like this, and they're trying, then they could do it with anything.
So true. Um, Matrix made a comment saying, "Interesting you ask that." I think this is going back to the cigarettes. My half brother had cigarettes put out on his feet if he didn't get up. Oh, geez, this is terrifying. Get up and mop the floor by our mom. She's gone now, but what I notice is that if you're questioning worth, what I notice is that if you're questioning worth, did it cut off, Matrix? Were you trying to write more? I was adopted. Okay. Yeah, that's terrifying. I'm sorry you and your brother had to go through that experience. Welcome, Sue, as a member. Robin Green Day asks, what was the most pivotal moment of Depp v. Heard for both of you? Why don't you start, Tug? What was the pivotal moment for you?
You mean the actual trial itself? I think it's when
I think that's what it's asking. The
Yeah.
DVH, I imagine, is Depp v. Heard.
Yeah, I think when we saw Elaine get shut down totally, I think when she was out there, they were gonna do redirect, and it was their time to shine. And you're gonna see how they were gonna try to spin everything, that Amber Heard had basically screwed up on, and Camille Vasquez just shut her down right there. I mean, Amber Heard had already been exposed. She'd already exposed as a liar and a fraud. And then for that. Now, I mean, that would be if I'm watching it and I'm looking at the trial.
Okay. Yep. That was when I was already in the courtroom. And my moment came very shortly right before that. So some of you who have followed me since the beginning of this trial know that May 4th or May 5th, May 5th was my birthday. And that's when Amber was on the stand for the entire day. I believe she took the stand like May 4th for like an hour or two, if she did, or not at all. I can't remember. But I know for a fact that it was like the best birthday gift I've ever gotten. I wasn't expecting it to be, obviously. Nobody knew what was going to happen because she has not yet testified. That was the first time she ever took the stand. And for the first time in the history of this case, we heard this so-called abused person talking about the abuse that they sustained. And the whole world, including myself, I remember I was on Nick's channel and we were kind of watching and listening, and there was this entire shift in our perspective. A lot of eyebrows started getting raised, a lot of question marks were being added to Amber's allegations. There was a vast incongruency between her behavior and what we expected. Today we joke about the crocodile tears. This was even before that. The crocodile tears came later. That was more of the kind of like the opening act, if you will, act one of her shit show. And then Judge Ascarati went on the judicial conference the following week. And somewhere during that week, that's when I made the decision, which again, anybody asks, I tell them freely, Larry, this was such a genius idea for you to go and like create this name for it. That was not the original plan. The original plan for me was to just go in, sit there for a day, because I know that she's still going to be on direct examination, maybe stay for cross, and just have a story to tell. That was all I wanted. I never knew that this was going to blow up into what it has today. That was never my intent. Now I'm happy it happened. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. But if you had asked me like how do you plan for something like that, I couldn't tell you because it all happened in the spur of the moment.
I knew that trial was going to be humongous. I knew it. I saw it. I now again the camera thing. Who knows? You know, if the cameras wouldn't have won in, it wouldn't have been as big, but the push was always for cameras to be inside. And, Depp's people thought they had a very good chance of doing it. And they were right. They were right. And I mean, God, we none of us knew how big that actually would be. But man, I knew it would be big. The UK 2020 trial was big for what it was. It's a UK trial, so the media is not all over it. But man, that if I can only imagine if with the cameras it made it bigger, but I can only imagine like a person like yourself, if you would have been there and there wouldn't have been cameras, holy crap. That would have been even bigger. I liked having people there though, like people like yourself. I would listen to what you all said because you gave a perspective that no one else had.
Yeah, because I was inside and I actually to this day I'm a little shocked that when when I was able to take a seat inside that courtroom, I didn't see a media person in sight. They weren't there. It was just court TV with their camera crew, Shanley Painter, and that's it. Shanley was the only one, the only reporter physically sitting inside that
Mm.
courtroom. It was bizarre.
Well, they thought they had this. I'm telling you, they thought they had it locked down. They thought they knew how it was going to play out. They thought that they bought into their own, just like they have so many times. They bought into their own press. They thought that it was just already a decided thing, and it turned out to be something they couldn't control. That's why they hate us all. They blame all of us because it wasn't just Johnny Depp didn't just win and Amber Heard lose. They lost as well. They lost putting in over half a decade of lies and BS. They pushed it on us. They pushed it on the public. They locked down the narrative. They thought they had it in the bag, and they blame everybody. That they don't blame themselves or Amber Heard for losing. They blame other people.
Which is what narcissists typically do.
Yep.
Every external force outside themselves is responsible for my pain and suffering.
Yep.
Oh, we have another running joke on the channel, Tug. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I don't know who this user is. I actually don't even want to know, but they have an account that they come in under by the name of Drama.
Mhm.
So whenever that we have some drama going down, sometimes Drama will pop in the chat. And Drama is saying that I had nothing to do with those Amber people. They'd come out all on their own.
It's funny.
That is funny. And here's another one from Drama. Also, being serious for once. Drama, you're slipping. You're slipping, Drama. Uh, but I still love you. Do you feel like you changed or grew in any way from Depp v. Heard? For me, it was gaining the confidence to be believed. Now, who is this question directed to? I imagine to the both of us. So, um, you want to start, Tug?
I mean, yeah. I think people telling me their most intimate details of things that, I mean, just stuff that maybe they wouldn't even confide to a therapist in a professional setting. It'd take
Wow.
time to get out. It told me how important this stuff was. Anytime I would burn out, I mean, I covered for a long time, and I'd burn out, And then people would give you the perspective on how big it is. And when that trial happened, it really showed people how big it is. And I mean, you could say the words on, hey, this could be a societal game changer. This could actually focus on victims, period, survivors. They actually get notice. They actually get justice. It's easy to say the words, man, but when you see that stuff, yeah, I feel like it changed me there. It made me louder. It made me not give a damn about any blowback. Right is right, and screw anybody else that says anything different.
Truth wins. To
Yep.
sum it up, I had a similar experience, maybe not as cathartic as Tug's, but similarly, yeah, I'll never forget. I used to be, if you go back to my videos from like 2019, when I first did my first lives, like February through November of 2019, I was just, it's like I had a stick up my ass, man. I felt, I was always proper, shoulders back, tie, suit. I would talk like I am an attorney, talking to the camera, never using any cursey words. I was very proper. And I don't know why. I just felt like you're a lawyer, try to act like one. And little did I know, the people are hungry for seeing you as a person, not someone who you were pretending to be. And I didn't know that at the time. I was just starting out and learning. And all it took was a birthday party, actually, in May of 2021, where I went live, and it completely changed my perspective. I realized I can just be myself. And I started being more myself as much as I could, still with certain limitations in my lives. But this trial has completely changed how I approach things. And I just basically, I guess, as they say, I stopped giving a fuck. I started realizing that the truth will always set you free. It doesn't matter how you may think you come across. You're always going to come across better than you think you are if you just be yourself, be true to yourself, and speak the truth. And a lot of that I actually learned from Nick too. Nick Rekieta, when I started, I mean, he takes it to an extreme. I'm not saying
Right.
please don't use Nick as an example. He's probably not the best one, but at the same time, he is the best example because he is not. I mean, I think you were even watching. I saw you today. I popped in the chat for a little bit as my plane was landing. You were watching the video where he is basically calling out all these lawyers who are reviewing the complaints that he was reading on his channel. He never mentioned any names. He was just saying, these are I might leak them, but he didn't.
Right.
And now they're going back and saying that may have in some way, shape, or form affected our investigation of your complaints. I mean, that is just, again, that right there, that is 2019 Larry's in the ethics professional committee over there in Minnesota or wherever. I forget where he is. I think it's Minnesota. They have a stick up their ass. They feel like everything has to be polished and proper. And if it's deviated even slightly to the left or to the right, they don't know what to do. They freeze and they're like, I better err on the side of caution. And we're just going to say that this has affected it in some way just to be safe. And there's no need for that. There's absolutely no need for that. The lawyers are just overall, we're like fucking bunch of scaredy cats, man. There's this entity called the Bar Association that we're so deathly afraid of to get a complaint from. Not all of us, but the vast majority. And trust me, if you look at the history of lawyers who have gotten disbarred, not even suspended. Let's go to the extreme, like pure disbarment. look at the kind of shit if you want to do on your own time, you know, chat, look up lawyers who have gotten disbarred. I mean, these people have committed criminal acts, pretty much every single one of them, if not every single one of them. You have to literally go out of your way and like stage a DUI, if you all know that story from those lawyers down in Florida who tried to like get their competition out by getting him hammered and then putting him behind the wheel with the assistance of like their secretary. Like all three lawyers there got disbarred. Lawyers who's been stealing money from clients on like a daily basis. That con man in Kentucky actually who did that whole scheme where he defrauded the not the insurance. It was what was he defrauding? Medicare and Medicaid. Medicare and Medicaid. He was defrauding them out of millions of dollars and got caught. I think they made a movie about it. I mean, these people, Murdoch, right? Murdered like half his family, if not 3/4 of them, allegedly, or assisted in some way, shape, or form on some of them. Like these people are the ones who get disbarred. Okay. It takes a lot of effort for you to lose your license to practice law. Even suspensions are extremely difficult to acquire. And I don't know why lawyers are just, they're so afraid of this entity that sometimes they don't just err on the side of caution. They err on the side of, I'm just not going to do anything at all and fly as straight as I possibly can, which is the wrong move. There's no need for that. There's absolutely no need for that. You don't get a chance to enjoy the profession, the practice. Tug, I can't tell you how many times I have had in the middle of trial, a lawyer will stop the proceedings or in between proceedings and like ask the judge to issue sanctions, like ethical sanctions against me. You know how many times that happened to me?
A lot, maybe. I don't know.
I can tell you a lot. Not every trial,
Right.
not every other trial, but enough to where I notice it. You know how many times they've actually succeeded?
Never. I don't know.
Zero.
I was right. All right. Yeah, I mean, seeing what was aimed at Ricada, like again, it had nothing to do with the practice of law. You know, it had to do with a social media mob that decided to try to destroy this man's life and the profession itself. If they don't want to back, oh man, like the anger that was coming from him is very it's very deserved. It's very real and it's very deserved. He should be pissed. You know, I would be livid. My field, those they'll turn on you in a heartbeat. Like in mental health, everybody, you talk about lawyers being scared. In mental health, man, it's messed up. They're not used to people fighting back or doing anything. And when you have a voice in there, they don't really know what to do. But in law, God, I mean, people, you're supposed to be able to speak up. I mean, that's part of law, you know. And if you can't do that, if you can't even do that for yourself, man, what a terrible place to be.
Yeah. And entities with power tend to abuse that power if you don't speak out.
Yep.
Trust me, I've seen it. Oh, well, you have seen it personally, unfortunately, with Child Protective Services, CPS.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, those people are. I can't tell you how many times I get phone calls of people wanting to sue their asses, sue their pants off for the stuff that they do to people with zero justification, going against judges' orders, going against basic moral, basic human decency. It's staggering.
They have no real oversight, and that's why, you know, luckily when they pop up at the house, like I'd already had a lawyer, you know. My lawyer was like, you know, Ty was like, yeah, don't talk, you know, you can talk to him, like a little bit. Don't let them in the house. Don't really answer anything. Make them talk to me. And when I talked to him later on, he was like, I give that advice to a lot of people, and you're one of the few that's ever taken it. So, congratulations on that. It's like, yeah,
Nice.
I'm not letting those fuckers in my house or anything else. I know how that is. I see them in mental health. Like, they can do good, but they can also do terrible things.
Yeah. And unfortunately, for the most part, they do terrible things,
Yes.
even when it may be justified for them to like come in and, separate the parties or whatever. But when they start taking children out of people's homes and sending them to foster care, sometimes the foster family or the foster parent or whatever are a worse place for the child than the original parent.
Hmm.
For just a small example, um, I had at least one case that I can remember that comes to mind, a very, very big one. My, I'm not going to get into details. It's a very, very complicated case, but suffice it to say that there were three children in the home, originally four, but then there were three, and those three were sent to foster care. And I can't tell you, Tug, how much those children, like every time the mom visited them, they're like practically begging, can you please take us home? Can we please go home? I don't want to be with this aunt in Georgia. I'm in a foreign school. They were originally from Kentucky. I'm in a foreign school in a foreign house with a woman I don't love and I don't like. And can I just please come home? And the mom is like asking me, like, can we bring him home? And I'm like, not yet. There's still work to be done. And CPS won't let you. The prosecutor on a different case will not agree to let CPS bring your kids back. What do you tell the mom at that point? What do you tell the kids? Everybody wants to be reunited. There's no reason not to be, but because of CPS and some other pending bullshit that eventually got all dismissed and they were all reunited. But for how many months they had to suffer? It's just terrible.
Yeah, well, like you said, it happens way too often. I mean, we have. It's sad now with the way that especially social media works. All of these mechanisms that we have, there is no there's nothing that keeps up with them. There's no governing body that's actually, I mean, they're decades behind. So when people are
Mm.
calling in false reports, whether that's to the police, with swattings, whether that's with CPS and weaponization or law, taking people's license, all of that stuff, they are not equipped, nor do they really want to be equipped to handle this. I mean, they're just supposed to go in, do a job. They're not supposed to be manipulated or swayed by any of that nonsense. And yet they are. They are very well.
All the time.
Yep. God, yeah, I was really irritated by the CPS thing too. It's very,
I
uh,
was
you know,
shocked when I heard that that was happening to you and they were directly involved, like they had their hand in the cookie jar. I knew it was not going to end well. Like, didn't you sue them for doing something? I remember you took some proactive action in response.
yeah, we looked into suing. Actually, there's a one of there are three people involved, and we're still in a it's taking time, but we're still in a fact gathering stage because the people that are potentially responsible for that, CBS is one of the places that they will not give up the name of complainants. So we're looking into any option that we can get that. But we've been looking at the people we think are responsible for that because they not only did that, they filed multiple false police reports. They filed a false federal report. We've already found between
Wow.
either myself, that private investigator Paul Barisi, or complaints about Johnny Depp and more, we found 6 states that they filed false complaints in. I've been listed in one in Tennessee, South Carolina, multiple ones in LA, a federal report. Again, there's 4, there's 3 states plus the Fed and that. And we're looking into all the options because one of these people, many of them don't have
Wow.
money. So what do it's just a waste of money. But one of these people does have money. Oh, they very much. They have a lot of money. And I'm like, man, I'm really in the mood to make them fucking pay for that.
As well, you should.
Yeah.
If you're broke, I guess you can fuck with people, but if you have money, probably not the best idea.
Yeah, good idea at all. One of the one of those main AH crazies. I mean, they have some actual real money. One of them, a lot of them are just broke nothings, but one of them has some real money, and they did some. I mean, they did some crazy thing. I would say even with CPS, that might not be the worst thing that if they are directly responsible. Again, I cannot say with certainty they are, but that wouldn't be the worst thing that they did. Actually, that's a terrifying thing to say, but it's true. Out of everything they've done, that wouldn't be the worst thing they did.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, reporters, and by God, I think you've earned the title of reporter at this point on many facets. Sometimes get there we catch flack. We catch flack, and we have to deal with it as it comes.
In this modern age, it's weird though. You know what I mean? Like,
In
like
what way?
with the social media. Okay, I work with the mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
And I would find the mentally ill much, much preferable to. I'm talking about severely mentally ill, just out of hospitalization. So the meds that they basically, when somebody's hospitalized, the way that they consider them the release, they have to have X amount of hours where they're not showing certain behavior. So basically, they'll give them medication. They won't show behavior. They'll be like, they're stable. They're out the door, and we'll deal with them. There's a housing component to some of the stuff we do. So we'll end up with very mentally unstable people in crisis mode. I mean, it can be a mess. I would much rather deal with those people than this stuff, because as insane as that is, the people online are just there are no limits to what people do. The lines in the sand that you expect people to have, yeah, they don't exist.
Yeah, we've seen that all too well, especially on Twitter, and of course the CPS and the bar complaints against you and Ricada. There's more coming. I know there's more coming. We just have to be ready for it. You can't. That's the thing that I've learned about these people. I didn't know that they really. I mean, I've heard of their existence. I can't say I was completely oblivious to the knowledge of the fact that they're out there. The traditional sense of a feminazi, right? The liberalist of the liberal when it comes to men, like, might as well exterminate the male race. They're worthless pieces of garbage. I thought that was like a small percentage of humans, like a very, very small one, that did not have a very active leadership is a loaded term, but essentially like a centralized, organized system. And through this trial, I have come to learn that there are masses of real people who are misandrists to the core. I mean, the most famous one would be, I think, Michelle Dauber, which to this day, I do not have an answer how on earth that woman. I know she has tenure, but there's got to be some exception. Stanford is just taking a position that we're just gonna hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, let her do her thing, and we're gonna try and distance ourselves as much as we can. But eventually, it's going to blow up in their faces if it hasn't already. And it's these. When you poison the well, it has long-term effects. It doesn't. It's not. No, rarely do you have like a nuclear holocaust fallout in a situation. For the most part, situations like that drag on, and the longer they drag on, the more they poison. It's like having a poison in your body, and you're slowly dying of it. And that's what Stanford is going through right now, in my opinion. And so, and that's just one example. She's maybe you can call her the leader of the cult. But I did not know that this faction of humans really is capable of so much hatred, so much nefarious action, so much dislike for rather than have a meaningful discussion, they're like, look at Eve Barlow and my little feud with Eve Barlow. Her immediate reaction to me saying negative things about her breaking up with Amber Heard and calling her the ex-girlfriend was, we need to find a way to cancel DUI guy. And
Yep.
how do we shut him up? How do we make him stop talking? How is that? That's not a counter argument, you know?
Well, you're that's the thing. I think that you're not noticing just extremes, because people will come in, they'll hijack movements, they'll bring in extremism, they'll hijack any, like, an equality movement, they'll turn it into a supremacy movement. But you're not just seeing that, you're seeing unabashed hate that's allowed. It's become socially acceptable. When it becomes socially acceptable in some instances, how you really get to know what people are like and what they're capable of. And they're capable of anything. These people, it's socially acceptable to hate men. It's socially acceptable to hate male victims, and these extremists, and that's what they are. They're very much extremists. They again, they hijack equality movements. They come in with with an empowerment movement for self, and they will do it with by any means possible. And there's people at Stanford like Michelle Dahmer. One of the reasons she's in power, there's probably people just like her that are in power there too.
It's gotta be, right?
Yeah.
That's the only reasonable human explanation as to how she can still have this voice and not be again, I'm not even advocating for cancel culture and canceling Dauber and all that, but what I would advocate for is for her to slow her roll in the way she approached, because the way that if you remember, some of the tweets that she made were beyond. Hate is one thing. Hate I can deal with all day long. But when you advocate for the death on multiple occasions of another human being and there's absolutely no fallout from that, that's when I start asking questions.
I think when they want a world where they can cancel anyone can be ruined. I say, hey, if that blows up on their doorstep, fuck them, reap the whirlwind. So she doesn't deserve, she wants other people to be unemployed. Well, welcome to the soup line. I hope that she receives the same nicety that she presents to everyone else, which is absolutely none. Like, screw her. I think Stanford, they should have fired her already. It's amazing that woman is still employed.
Yeah. Emily Morris says, thank you for all you do. I get it, and I hope others do as well. Alexander Vinette, he's a staple on our channel. How you doing, Alex? Hey, my friend, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you. Thank you, Alexander. Robin Green Day, question mark, Larry, best YouTube live moment with fans or trial watch? The quintessential holy fuck moment when you were live.
I remember your holy fuck moment. I watched you in the trial. It was so funny. I like how you got known for a facial expression. You did exactly what, like, all of us did, though. But I love that you were, like, right there and we could see you. You're like, oh shit. I love it.
We were sitting in that row that had the best vantage point for the entire courtroom. I loved that seat. I saw that seat that first day. We were not able to snag it the first time Rob, Ian, and I walked in the courtroom. we were like a couple of rows behind, but I was already in the ballpark. I was like, this is getting close. And the next time I was in, which was that Tuesday, the second to last week, James and I were able to get in. Ian and Rob were not because their line sitters got booted by a bunch of line cutters, which was a shit day. There were like 30 line cutters that day. It was disgusting. I think even more than that. But anyway, to get into the trial, I mean. Anyway, so I was able to secure that seat, and I tried to get that same seat because it had the best view. And granted, yes, you are right in the vantage point of the camera, but it was the best seat in the house. You literally get to see every single face. And I even talked about it in one of my videos, like when I was still in Virginia during the trial. All like, if I look this way, I see the judge, I see all of Amber's camp right here, I see all of Johnny's camp, and I see 7 out of the 9 jurors. If I want to see the other 2 on the end, which were like number 5 and number 9, all I have to do is kind of shift like this, and that's it. And I have the view of the entire courtroom. There is not a better seat in that house. And it just so happens to be the seat that the camera is, captures. And obviously, I wasn't the only one. It captured a bunch of people. But James, who was seated to my left, Scott, who was seated to my right, Vanessa, who was seated next to James, to my left as well, next to James. We all had the same reaction. Unfortunately, Vanessa sat in the worst seat because her head was blocked by Elaine Bredehoft's body, sadly. So her her reaction was not captured on film, but she had the exact same reaction as 90% of that courtroom. To this day, I don't know why I caught flack for that moment, to be honest. The
I like that.
streams.
I don't know, man. Because I looked at it like again. When I saw that in the aftermath, I was like, dude, that's what everybody did that. I mean, myself, I was like, oh my God. Even in the moment when it was said, his commentary, I was like, oh shit. It was amazing.
Even people, I remember watching Nick's stream and even Legal Bites stream, and I think Viva Frey's stream. Who Every lawyer who streamed that case that day had the exact same reaction at the exact same moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me to be singled out, I mean, all I have to say is thank you. You you turned it into more than it should be. But then also, you can't forget the internet. The internet, I kind of did a tally, or at least as much as I could. It was impossible to capture all of them, but that one TikTok of Morgan Tremaine clapping Elaine
Uh-huh.
and the reactions that followed, James, myself, Scott, Ben Chu, Camille, Elaine herself, a few other people in the audience, and all that, it got just about a 1 billion with a B impression value, which is kind of insane.
Well, it's amazing in a trial that big, to see Elaine get owned. Everybody wanted to see her just get wrecked, and to see somebody actually do what pretty much the entire world wanted to do. I mean, that was amazing.
It was pretty good. It was really
Mhm.
good.
That was I mean, it was a crazy trial anyway. I mean, this was what's nuts about it is for everything we only saw about 20% of the evidence that's out there, and there is an overwhelming amount of evidence in support of Depp. We just for the Eastern Columbia building, for example, I mean, there were multiple witnesses that were just taken out for that, and some of those would have gotten into some fascinating things. I mean, we'd heard about more affairs, about Amber Heard's secret trysts. We heard some of that in 2020, and again, I mean, I like how it came out, but my God, I wish there was something that would go in and capture all of that stuff and present it. I'd like to see a documentary that would go in and truly, you know, capture the trial, not skewed. Everyone I see is skewed, but then in the aftermath, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see what was left out, and I'd like to see the aftermath.
I think there was a crew that we ran into at the trial. There were actually several crews, independent filmmakers who
Mm.
were at the trial. So there should be some stuff forthcoming. I don't know if they're more going to be focused on the line, or maybe they abandoned those projects if they didn't see that they're going to come to fruition and have the viewership. Because at the time it was all hot, but I don't know if anybody's going to be interested in watching a documentary about the people of the line today. I don't know if it's a hot topic or not. Probably not, I
Right.
imagine. But if there are any documentaries to be made about the Johnny Depp trial, they're definitely out there. I remember on the last day, Vanessa, James Farron, and myself uh, did a stream. Vanessa, James, and I were still in Virginia, and Farron joined us. She went home, so she joined us virtually. We actually did a whole cast. We cast everybody, every character in the trial. We have that list somewhere. It's on Farron's channel. She compiled it after the stream, and we actually have actors for every character in the trial lined up with the help of the chat. We had like a 10-hour long stream that night, that day. We were even taking naps intermittently. James took a nap. I took a nap. I think Vanessa was the only one who didn't nap. It was a really long stream, and we had a lot of fun. We accomplished a lot. It's still on my channel for those who have not seen it. It's a really long one. I'm warning you, but you don't have to watch the whole thing. But towards maybe the last 2.5 hours is when we did the compilation of who should play who if they were to ever make a Hollywood movie about the Johnny Depp trial.
God, I mean, we've seen a low budget one, but I'd like to. I think I think there would be enough interest if somebody could do it properly. If they could do it, if anybody went out and they presented it correctly, if they actually, if anyone ever presented, or if they didn't slant toward Amber Heard, if they actually presented it a different way, I think you would see a lot more interest.
You mean factually?
Yeah, exactly.
So hard these days. God.
Well, it is. Like, I've never seen anything like it, like we saw in this trial, though. I've seen mis or disinformation presented plenty of times, but I've never seen it at a level where you have the entire public saying, yes, this is what happening. I'm watching it play out. And the media is like, no, 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 no. Your eyes are lying to you. This is what's really happening.
Don't listen to your ears and don't believe your eyes. Believe what we tell you to believe.
I mean, I appreciate them doing that too, because that's what you see. You were talking about comfort on the camera. People want someone that they relate to. They want to sit back. They want to enjoy people. They want to enjoy personalities. I think Nick said it best. We're at a new thing because you have this thing and people can interact with it. That's great. You can be part of it. You can shape the experience. In that too, they helped build this, and they're so unaware. Again, that they did that with this trial, for example. They did it for years. They thought they had all of this on lockdown. They thought if they lock out the media, then all of the noise out there, it didn't mean anything. And they didn't realize that there was an entire grassroots movement that was putting out truth, and it was very loud. It was much louder than they thought. You were talking about Brian was instrumental. Actually, Yellow Flash is the guy who told me to check out this case. He was like, yo, check this out, because
That's one I've yet to meet. I need to meet Yellow Flash. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun, man. Like, he's somebody that I've known since I've started on YouTube. So I would consider, you can be friendly with people, but I consider him like a real friend. So he was like, I'm obsessive. When I cover something, I will cover it. And I like to cover one thing. And he was like, check that out. So when I started looking into it, Brian had a couple of videos up, and his videos really got me thinking, holy crap, man, I need to go back and I need to really look at what's there. So when I started, I mean, you're talking years of filings because you got to go all the way back to the divorce stuff. And,
Hmm.
I put out fillers to see, I wanted to talk to people in both camps. And I, I could not like of course, the Amber Heard lawyers and them, they wouldn't. But interestingly, some of Amber Heard's, some of the people she'd probably be surprised by some of them talked, and they didn't have flattering things to say about her. And of course, I mean, Adam Waldman made contact with him, and he wasn't a spin meister. I just had direct questions. They didn't try to, just like in the court case, they didn't try to make Depp a saint. They weren't like, hey, he's never done drugs or anything like that. The the main thing was he's never abused a woman. And if you look at this case, when I first looked at it, I thought it was a case of did Depp abuse or not abuse, and it became a case of is Amber Heard the actual abuser in there? Because the more you looked at it, it was like, wow, she's the responsible party. And that's the one component that was never really highlighted by media or any outlets, that she was the victimizer. She wasn't, she was the aggressor. She wasn't the aggrieved party.
Yeah. Yeah. That flipped the table on all of us. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody was ready for that.
Yeah, I took I read a lot, like I said, I want to get that. You want to get it right no matter what. You want to make sure that if you point the finger at somebody, I don't mind covering accusations, but if I give an opinion, I want my opinion to be right. It's not on a trial outcome. That's different. Hey, when you go here, do you think the deck was stacked against him, obviously, at the beginning. When you look at that kind of trial, you would think, yeah, it could go many ways. But as far as the facts of the case, I mean, I looked at it for a long time. Good God, I covered that trial for years, and oh,
I know.
I mean, well, I've enjoyed the aftermath watching it because it's not the trial. The eyes of the world, of course, they turn away after the trial. Many people just wanted spectacle. But if you want to see what happens in the aftermath, especially with a false accuser, you can watch the two polarities. You can see after Amber Heard lost, she didn't just lose that case. Like it was like a bomb went off in her life. It took out career, and it's one that she herself planted. But I mean, with Depp, even though the media is fighting back, Hollywood opportunities coming up, money is coming in. So advertisers are seeing it. He's making money as far as his music career is concerned. Somebody's going to pull the trigger on a big movie sooner or later while it's there. And I mean, it's just it's interesting to see. I've never seen anyone uncanceled before.
Yeah. As Ian Kinzel aptly put it, a lot of that man hate that we talked about comes from people who've been traumatized. What they don't realize is that Amber Heard is taking advantage of them too. And there's a couple of things to unpack here, Ian. Thank you for that comment. A lot of that so the man hate that the Amber stands are projecting, it's something internalized that they have personally experienced in their lives. So now they're projecting it onto others, assuming that if I had experienced this, that means it's universal truth, and everything running contrary to that is false because it runs contrary to my personal experiences. It's a very narrow, simplified, oversimplified, way oversimplified view of the world, but we are limited by our experiences. if you are a female and all your life, all you've known is abuse by men, you're going to think that everybody gets abused. Like that's normal. That's a normal part of life, right? So that's an interesting point.
I
And
I think that's
yeah,
some. I think that's some of the people. I think you also see people that,
no, I'm not saying all of them. I'm
yeah,
saying a lot of them, I feel, but that's where
I don't
I'm
even know
agreeing
if
with
it's a
Ian.
I don't even know if it's a lot. Like I think there are a lot of people out there that they don't want to give up what they have. If the narrative ever falls apart that men are the aggressors, period. Women are the aggrieved, period. That is a power position. It's powerful. Like they can use that in any way, not only sculpting a narrative, but a lot of the like tech writers, for example, a lot of those people put themselves in positions of prominence by being quote unquote advocates. And whoa, if you ever talk about no, you're attacking them because they're female. And of course, like,
Mhm.
you're the aggressor. They're the aggrieved. That's always the issue. And again, if that ever falls apart, if there's going to be hell to pay. But yeah, I mean, you're right about some of them there. I think there are a lot of reasons for these people, and ultimately, they can have their opinions. If you have an opinion on the case, I don't give a shit. It's your opinion. But some of these, I mean, some of these people are absolutely insane. So, I don't even try to figure out why anymore. Maybe sometimes a curiosity at one time I'd be like, but I don't even, I don't even try to figure that out anymore. I just look at what's going on, or I laugh at, some of the things they do.
I gave up a long time ago.
Exactly, man.
In the beginning, I tried. I even remember, and this was not a joke. This was sincere. For a moment, it really was. I during I can't remember if it was like post verdict or during the verdict watch. I had like a heart to heart, looking at the camera, spilling my guts to like maybe we can take Amber, like maybe we can convert her to reality. Maybe there's a chance we can bring her through. And all the chat was like, Larry, you're such an idealist, you're so cute, trying thinking that you can take this woman and make something out of her. And it's the eternal optimist in me that sometimes likes to speak his mind. But I very quickly gave up on that notion, realizing it's been so many years, whatever has formed in her as a person. I mean, I remember hearing stories about her as a child where this whole notion of taking people and discarding them as soon as they're no longer useful for her purposes has been going on for decades. This is not a new concept for her, and
Mhm.
once it's so internalized, and I'm sure you know from your experience in your profession dealing with the mental health and mentally ill individuals, you know, once a process is internalized for a very long time, it's extremely difficult to undo the damage and undo the process or install a different process. It can take years. And also, the most important factor, I think, in all of this is it also requires desire
Yep.
for change. If
Well,
there is no desire, it doesn't matter how many processes you're going to try and install, there's just going to be resistance on the other end.
well, that's why, with the discussion about herd, and there was Dr. Muffins, at Curry, when she discussed her in terms of personality, because, like you said, this is ingrained behavior over a long enough timeline that's who she is now. And yeah, she has no want to change. She doesn't. Her worldview. She probably looks at herself as a victim somehow in some way. Either, Depp deserves this because he walked away or just whatever. I mean, in order to do this stuff to somebody, you have to be able to rationalize it. In your mind, no matter how screwed up that rationalization is, they have to be able to rationalize it. So yeah, I mean, that's it it's chilling, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with being optimistic either. You being like, yeah, I hope we can change somebody. That would be nice. I wish we could change people. I wish we could, and then they could show everyone else the error of their ways. And maybe that could do real societal good. But unfortunately, all too often, that's not the case.
You're an idealist just like myself, Tug.
Yeah,
I
I
can
wouldn't be
sense
in
it.
mental health if I wasn't,
You have to be, yeah.
I don't think we would do, to be honest, I think with part of what we do here, coverage, that's one thing. But when you're talking about stuff, hoping that it does change something for the positive. Like, again, some of these cases, they have the ability to do that. And I hope they do. I think that's a form of idealism. And I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know societally if we've seen the change yet. I think if we have a few more of these that fall down, especially false accusation cases, eventually you will see something. But I do think that that trial and the people that covered it or participated, spread word about it, everyone that was involved, I think they played a part.
Give me just one moment, Tug.
Yep. Oh, it ran off. All right, cool. Like hijacked that. Man, let's have a party now. Oh man. Yeah, if you have not subbed to this channel, if you are here somehow, by the way, that went backwards. That's actually not cool. 249-696. I mean, we were talking about 304 subscribers. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, for sure, he will hit this within the next day or so. I mean, he's actually picked up over 1,000 subscribers because it was at 248 and change yesterday. The YouTube clock showed 249, but he's actually gained quite a bit of ground there. Proud too. I'm glad to see I'm glad to see people succeed off of that and grow like this. Tug tossing faster than on his channel. Well, when I have other people, I speak slowly. It's a southern thing. We speak very slow, unless I'm hyper. If I'm hyper, I speak fast. But we don't we don't get in a hurry very often. So, but as soon as you said come over, good. I'm like I said, I hope people build up. I'm trying to get you some subs here, man. We're so close. You're
We're
so
so
close.
close. We may not be able to hit it tonight. I think I got a little ahead of myself, but
That's
I'm
good,
not
man.
complaining. I'm not
Nah, man,
complaining.
you can have another celebration when you hit it too. I mean, this is you've picked up a good right at 1,000. I know the number flips over to 249 when you're within 500 of it. So I watched when you said that, I noticed it stayed there for a minute. So I figured you built up, you hit that, and congrats, man. I mean, that's damn good momentum.
Yeah. Does it really? I mean, I've been watching it, and when I was at 248, like 900, it still showed 248 on my channel. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it'll show for subscribers. It depends. Like YouTube is a weird beast, but as
Yeah.
subscribers, I noticed when I was at 248, 501 that they would see 249. So
Okay, fair enough.
yeah, so I mean, again, it
They've
may.
changed so many things recently.
So it's weird. I mean, they may be showing, yeah, you know,
Yeah. No, what this number is the number from the creator studio,
yeah.
which normally only the creator sees, but I can blow it up as a screenshot. So excuse me, that's what I did. But yeah. No, I like I said, this is way more than I ever thought. My original plan with my channel was never to do what I ended up doing. Forget the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff. I originally created my channel just to put like my commercials on it. And anytime I have like an interview or whatever people wanted to see, Um, I think for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years, I was posting like a video every 6 months, and I
Mhm.
had like 150 subscribers, like
Right.
not thousand, like 150 subscribers. And one day I had a hearing, and I decided to post that hearing on my channel, and people started taking notice. I think tripled, which for me what at the time was a lot. Going from 150 subscribers to 450 subscribers was huge. Especially since it took me like 4 years to get to 150, and then it took me like 4 weeks to triple. So I was like, man, I might be onto something here. And that's when I started gathering like all my tapes from my jury trials and all that, and started posting that stuff. Because some people may not know. I don't know if we have uh, some of the legacy subscribers from those days, but when I came into the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, I already had like 132,500. I think was my number. I was sitting pretty comfortably. It was a slow climb. I'm not, I wasn't complaining, never. Um, but I already came in with an established base. And as we all know, a lot of YouTubers who came on the scene with nothing and thought that this is an easy game, this is such an easy
Mhm.
grift, which it's absolutely not, as
Right.
I'm sure Tug will tell you as well. Um, it's a lot of people suffered. A lot of creators, content
Yep.
creators, suffered as a result because they thought like, "Hey, this shit's easy. Anybody can do it." Not realizing, I think Nick actually said it in one of his lives. I can't remember which one it was, but I remember him saying that he is well aware because he had a similar thing happen to him during the Rittenhouse trial. When he streamed Rittenhouse, he had a massive explosion of views and subscribers and super chats, and
Mhm.
he's all too familiar with the high and then the low that
Yep.
follows. The high is very brief, and the high is very brief, and it's very quick, and it will come and go before you realize it. And the low that's going to follow is going to be long lasting and could potentially even last forever in theory, if there is no subsequent high to fill the gap. Now, typically there will be the next high in this case was the Johnny Depp trial, which followed about 6 7 months later, maybe 5. But Nick already knew going in that this we're riding a wave when he went into the trial, and a lot of content creators were like, "This is not a wave. This is my life from now on,"
Yeah,
and that was their mistake.
they never established a baseline. For me, like before a trial, I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing this for a while. So, I'd built my own thing. I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for a bit. And I'd covered other things before I ever covered Depp Heard, even, going into that. But I established a baseline. And going into the trial, yes, we had a huge boom. But afterwards, the baseline, you see an increase on that. So, if I got 10,000, views on a video, my baseline is moved to 40,000 views. So for me, that's a significant change. And
Mm-hmm.
creators, if they had, if they're brand new, they don't know how to look at that. They just look at it as, "Oh my god, I'm failing," because everything's going back to that ebb instead of the flow. But I mean, it's all it's all still good. It's all still progress. I'm not pulling 40 million views in a month or something, but I'm happy with 1 to 3. I mean, I kind of like being there. I like the fact that every time something like this comes up, we do know what to expect, and you know how to deal with this stuff too. One of the problems that people have is they take themselves seriously. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't take yourself seriously. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. You're blessed in these moments. You're sitting here. you're being allowed to be the person that picks up the microphone. And people like that. I look at it, I ride it, and like you were saying, maybe it will end. One day it all ends. Who gives a shit? Just enjoy it while it lasts.
Like I said earlier today during this live, taking myself, not taking myself too seriously was one of the hardest things for me to learn how to do. But once I learned it, I realized when you can just let it go and have fun with it.
Yeah.
That was one of the most unique lessons in this arena, of being a content creator and a streamer on YouTube. There's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it. Like, I've been invited to speak for the first time. I'm going to be speaking to other lawyers, teaching them. Like, I don't even know how this happened, Tug. I went from sitting in the classroom, watching lawyers teach me, and now I'm going to be one of the faculty teaching other lawyers. So apparently I learned some shit. I don't know when that happened and where, but so I got my first invite, and of course I said yes. This
That's
is going to
cool,
be
though.
in February.
Really...
Yeah. I'm very excited. I really am. Like, I reached out previously. I wanted to speak at other events, and they were like, you're not ready for that. And I took it in stride. I said, you're probably right. And this also, one thing I forgot to mention, I don't know if this happened to you, and I imagine it has, sensing by how you approach things. The streaming has really humbled me.
Yeah.
A lot. Like, I'm not saying I wasn't humble before. I wasn't as humble. Let's just put it that way. You begin to realize and appreciate your fan base. You begin to appreciate how fickle and how fragile all of this really is. How it's not holding by a thread by any means, but it can be.
Yeah.
If you make the wrong move, if you say the wrong thing, but you're not. If you're in a position where you constantly have to watch what you say, streaming is probably not for you. You know what I mean?
Well, you're not going to enjoy that either. I mean,
yeah, you're going to be constantly biting your tongue, right?
Yeah.
So if you want it to be an enjoyable experience, you kind of already have to have some built-in mechanism. But I totally forgot. I was going somewhere with this, and I went off on a tangent.
You were saying it was humbling, though.
Humbling, yeah, it was humbling. Yeah. It was humbling. It was definitely a humbling experience.
Yeah, I think. I mean, just learning the ins and outs to things. It takes a minute to get comfortable on a microphone, and it takes a minute not to give a shit. I mean, again, to remember that. I look at it like you were talking about. You looked at streaming professionally, like it's a job, and it's more like I'm going to go hang out with some friends. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. If I want to drink or do whatever I can, just cut loose, have a little bit of fun. And that's how I approach streaming. Now, making videos, I approach it in my own way. And I mean, again, if you take that seriously, like you said, it really is so easy to destroy that. I just, being yourself, if you're honest with people about who you are, will you run into controversy sometime down the road? Probably. Yeah. Sooner or later, controversy pops up. It's stupid. You just understand it'll blow over in a couple of days. And yeah, it may drive off a few 100 or 1,000 people, but you'll be good to go,
Yeah. I actually just remember what I was going to say. The symposium that I was invited to speak in, I can tell you right now that streaming has definitely put me, I think, because you get to, you do this enough times, you kind of get the hang of it and you become better at it. I think has provided me a lot of practice, unintentional practice for public speaking, no less. So that is going to carry over, and I'm hoping again, my demographic is completely different. I am going to be talking to, I think Tony said they're going to be, he's the one hosting it, Tony Polachis. He's a former police officer who now consults for criminal defense DUI attorneys. He said somewhere between 20 and 50 people, I believe, are going to be at this symposium. And every single one of them is a DUI practitioner that mostly does DUI work somewhere in the country, or they're coming from all 50 states, and maybe Canada, but unlikely. And my audience is going to go from just regular, mostly non-lawyer folk, to narcissistic, egotistical, egomaniac, money-driven, money-hungry, knowledge-hungry people. It's not an easy shift.
Right.
So I'm definitely going to have to prepare. It's not one of those like, all right, I'm just going to wing it. But not only do I have to prepare, I also have to have like writing materials and all of that. So, but anyway, I'm saying all of this just to say, like, I truly am blessed and humbled and appreciative of the fact that I get a chance to, first of all, do that. And number two, like all of these streams that I've done over the years, they are preparing me for bigger things like the symposium, for example. So it's a skill that carries over, especially if you put the time in and practice it.
Well, it can also be life changing. Like when I looked at this, I think you were talking about people who just popped into this and they had success. They didn't just have success with numbers. They made money. And many of those people were like, oh my God, this is going to last forever. That ebbs and flows too. I look at it as, man, I'm blessed that I've had that experience. It's fun. You can do that. And like you said, I don't know, man. I think this can last. I think you can do stuff with it. It's just like you look at Ricada. Ricada, I've known Ricada for years now. Like when my channel had about 8,000 subscribers, I ran into Ricada, and he was a small channel too. And you look at the growth of channels. I mean, look at the size of Ricada now. I look at like Yellow Flash. I knew him when I had 800 subscribers, and he had like 850, and now he's around 400,000. And it's amazing if you network correctly. I think a lot of people don't learn that lesson too. Yes, you can do this on your own, but when the ebb hits, other people may be flowing and, going and messing around with them. That's why I like people like Ricada. Ricada is always, we do Flashcast. We go on Flash's channel every Saturday. When he blew up with Rittenhouse, he had an army of people watching. He was still coming over on Saturday and, drinking and just screwing around. And I think that's a valuable lesson for everyone.
Collaborations are very powerful, most definitely.
Yep.
Especially when you have creators like that. Go ahead.
Well, being friendly with people, period.
Yes.
I mean, this is an ally type game. You definitely you may get suspended. Like if you get hit, you need friends. I got hit 9 times, 9 events, not 9 strikes, but 9 times going into that trial. In 1 year, I had those herd crazies like go and they tried to take me out, and they were pretty effective for a little while. I finally got my MCN on board. They got everything pretty much sorted, so I don't have those problems anymore. But God, there was a year, man, where I was like, they're going to take me down. And having friends, that's the one thing that kept me viable. Having a great audience, having your back, and having other social media creators.
Yeah, most definitely. You can't win at this game by yourself. For the most part, you can try. There are some that content creators that I have seen that have amassed millions of followers by themselves, but even they eventually collab with either other content creators or simply bring other people into the channel because they can't do everything themselves.
Yeah.
Nor do they want to, and nor should they. It doesn't make any sense as to why should you isolate yourself. It's a lot more fun. Like I stumbled upon. So, are you familiar with the emotional damage meme?
I've probably seen it. I don't know it by the name.
This Asian guy that, oh, he says it. It's the way he says it. It's not even like the meme itself. It's the emotional damage. If that rings a bell, then you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I just recently learned he's got a YouTube channel. He does all these his whole thing, because he grew up Asian. He's actually Asian Irish. I can't remember his name. People in the chat can probably fill you in. But he's either a stand-up comedian or like a content creator in the comedic scene, and he's phenomenal at it. He's absolutely phenomenal, and I've seen him collaborate with other Asian content creators, and his whole theme is just Asian. What it was like growing up Asian, why Asians are stigmatized here, there, and other places, and so on. And he's hilarious. He actually just crossed 6 million subscribers, I think, yesterday
Wow.
on his channel, which is phenomenal, especially since
That's
I don't even think he was on the scene like a couple years ago.
hmm.
I think his channel, if I looked it up, I think it was created in like 2019 or 2020 or something. It's unbelievable how some people can take a concept and just run with it and generate so much interest. He and the reason I think he blew up is exactly right, Tug Simp. He's funny. He's hilarious. He's really good at it. He got the stereotype down to a T, and he makes these little sketches. And I think he recently started making shorts, and like his first two shorts crossed like 600,000 views in like a day. So, and like I said, even guys like him, he's collaborated with people, and it's just one example that I've recently come across. But he's one of dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of examples all across the internet. Collaboration, and friendliness, humbleness, all these traits that we value as a society, I think are absolutely essential to content creators who sometimes can lose their heads when,
Yes, I've
because you're
known
like,
many.
you're sitting in front of a camera. You're not sitting in a room full of people where you would behave a certain way. You're like, it's just a camera. You'll lose that sense of human touch,
Well, some
the
people
human
too, they
connection.
get that they get the big head. You know, I'm lucky in the fact that I don't have a face. So anytime if I ever wanted to get a big head, you know, I'm a talking pickle right now. I mean, really, come on. You know.
I don't know
I
how you got there, but that's amazing.
I said I was making fun of Chris Boozy and Taylor Lorenz, and I said I could post my pickle online and it get more attention than they've ever gotten in their life, and that became a joke, and yeah, that's somehow we ended up here. I know what I like it there.
How did real quick, let me just do this. See, Adams, welcome as a member. And I just wanted to address this one real quick. I know Harry Potter's beard has been asking about my fur babies. I am not home right now. I am traveling, so unfortunately, no fur babies in sight. Here's my question, Tug. So now I got the pickle. How did Tug's tits become a thing? I have to know. Chad is, I'm sure, dying to know.
Okay, so there was a out of all the articles that came up, there was this one article. It dropped right after Newsweek, and it had a picture that was supposed to be me, but it wasn't. It was actually a meme. It had an umbrella guy face, but it was put on a female body with a huge brack. You know what I mean? Let's just say she had tugs jugs going on. So I showed that to Ricado one night. We were drinking on a stream together, and he was like, "That's the funniest thing ever." He was like, "What? You know what would be really funny if we went on Twitter and we got Tug's tits trending. So we both had accounts of over 100,000 subscribers at the time. So you figure, yeah, you could do something. Maybe we could get it trended. Well, we not only got it trending, but we got it trending #1 on Twitter. It outdid the NHL's paid trending. That's it was amazing. Like everybody was like,
Wow.
hell yeah.
That is insane. Good for you
Yeah,
guys.
so, I mean, there's a picture, though, out there, like I said, one of those mainstream outlets, they decided to show, that umbrella guy, but, again, they got the picture wrong. I don't know, it was hilarious to see them. They didn't get it wrong, they got it really wrong.
Right, the polar opposite of the gender
Yeah,
spectrum.
I loved it, though, I was like, "Oh my god," but, I mean, that shows you, and it was part of a hit piece. They put out a hit piece, and it blew their hit piece up because again they couldn't even they couldn't even get the picture right.
Well, as you and I probably both know, with a few exceptions, and naturally Amber Heard being one of them, very rarely, well, I guess Kanye West kind of is joining the fray, isn't he? There's no such thing as bad publicity, right?
Not for
Um,
it
it's
depends
starting
on
to
what you
it's
do.
starting to turn.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know what you're trying to say. It is starting to take a turn. You can't. Kathy Griffin,
yeah,
maybe potentially too, because she's just not funny at all.
right. You have to
Like,
know how to. You have to know your audience. Like
yeah.
it's. I've learned that you can usually survive like a platform hit. If you can survive a job hit, like if if you have a day job, I keep a day job just because I like my day job, first of all, and I don't trust YouTube. Honestly, they may demonetize me tomorrow. Who fucking knows? But if you can survive things in your real life, then all this other stuff really is positive feedback. Actually, like people who in my community here, like more people, they found out who, oh man, yeah, I heard about that umbrella guy, hey, that's you, and people think
Oh
that's
shit.
that's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah, there's a lot of people out here though. I mean, I live in the deep south, so people are like, ha, 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 that's great.
You're in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I live in small town Tennessee too. I live about an hour out of Nashville. So
Which direction from Nashville?
just go down the map. So
Down the map. So you're
yeah.
about 4 hours from my home. I'm 3 hours from Nashville.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it out. I've lived off and on, but I was born in Tennessee. So I like this area, but I like the response again. People don't people don't react to that. They don't react the same way to other people being canceled out here. For that they're like, oh, that's hilarious. And of course, um, it's funny, some of these journalists. I saw Taylor Lorenz, for example, when she doxed that Libs of TikTok. They're huge, and when she went after them, she went and rang their doorbell and wanted to mess with them and stuff. I noticed they don't come out to the deep south and try to ring our doorbell and harass us.
It's because you're gonna come out with a shot. You're gonna encounter someone with a shotgun coming out at you. That's
Yeah, as
why.
I've said many times, my doorbell reloads. You can click it, but it clicks back.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, hell yeah. My semi-automatic doorbell. Man, that's the way to go, man. Fuck these people. Uh, but no,
True
I mean,
that.
I do think that the first time they come after you, it is kind of scary. It's weird. It's bizarre because
Yeah.
when they truly come after you, not when they name you or do something, but when they start going into your real life. But after a while, man, they exhaust everything. I mean, if they want to go to the worst extremes, after they go after jobs or old jobs, after they do the police thing or CPA, there's nothing left. What are they going to do? There's nothing left for them to do.
It's that whole, it's going back to that whole, I cannot get him to stop saying things I don't like him saying. So I am going to go out of my way to try and basically physically try and put tape over his mouth,
Yeah.
metaphorically and almost non-metaphorically, almost practically. Like that is abhorrent that people don't, when they don't have the tools to present a counter argument or to try and simply navigate the social sphere in a humane way, and they resort to these disgusting tactics of name calling is the lightest one of them all, right? It's when you
Sure.
don't have anything to say. It's the ad hominem fallacy. For those of you unfamiliar, there's like 17 fallacies in the human condition, and they were all organized by like Aristotle and Socrates. Aristotle, Socrates, and Plato, I believe they're the originals, but they were since polished. And one of the fallacies, and each and every single one of them is a fallacy to a response to an argument, basically. So if two people are trying to have a meaningful conversation, one says that couch is black, and the response from the other person is going to be, no, that couch is gray. There's no fallacy. They're both stating kind of like an argument and a counter argument to a statement and observation, whatever it may be. But if someone says that couch is black, and the response is from the other individual is, you're an idiot, or you're stupid, or you're blind, that couch is, well, maybe a poor example. I'm trying to simplify it, but essentially an ad hominem attack is you're attacking the person rather than attacking what they said, right? And we have encountered that a lot in the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial with all these Amber Heard simps. They will attack. Their favorite word, by the way, I've learned, is incel.
Right. Yes. Yes. They love it. Mm-hmm.
They
I
love
love being called an incel. I'm like, so
yeah.
I'm a married incel with 2 kids. That's very strange.
You have a great argument. I don't have that. I can't make that argument yet, but I have a different one. It's the whole. The definition of it. I had to look it up one day, like the first time I saw it, because it didn't click right away. So I didn't realize incel is short for incelibate.
Yeah, involuntary celibate is what it is. Yeah.
Involuntary celibate. Thank you. Yes, involuntarily celibate. So celibacy is, a choice not to engage in sexual intercourse. Involuntary celibacy means like I would love to, I just can't find the means.
That's what
I can't get laid
Yeah.
because of XYZ. But and then incel for short. So anybody who disagrees with pretty much anything that these Amber Heard supporters are saying, if you advocate for Johnny Depp, if you speak out against Amber Heard, you immediately, like your immediate title, definition, what have you, becomes incel. Like somebody very recently, I think, responded to one of my tweets and called me DUI incel. Because I do a lot of, I have DUI kitty, I have DUI doggo, and now I'm DUI incel. It's just so quaint and so oversimplified. It doesn't even merit a response, doesn't even merit a conversation, because with a person who attacks you, starting with name calling, attacking who you are, attacking your looks, and especially when they don't know anything about your personal, obviously, sexual life. They don't know anything about your private life. And throwing those terms around has become, I mean, I hate to say it, but for them, it has become almost normalized, which is just ugly and at the same time terrifying, because what's the next step after that when that does not work? Are they going to go to doxing next? Because what do you do after you call someone like the meanest of the mean names that they can conceive of?
That's the point of it, actually. The point of, if you look at the rhetoric, the incel label caught on when you had shooters going out and doing horrific things. That label was born out of that. It was born out of people that, they hated enough. They hated women enough to go out and to kill people. So that's what they're putting on you. When they put on labels, whether it's racist, sexist, phobe, Nazi. I mean, whatever they throw at you, those labels aren't like calling you an asshole. Those labels are meant to do damage. It's meant to other you. So when they come in and they want to dox you or they want to, swat you or whatever, it's justified in their minds. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the groundwork they have to lay, and they have to lay it for everyone else. They're saying, yes, that is an okay target right there. So
Did we lose Tug?
did we? Did we lose Tug?
Or did we lose me?
Did we lose DY guy?
Did I disappear?
No, I don't think you have.
Okay.
No, you might have just had a little interruption there or something. I can never tell. I do live out in, like I said, the sticks. So if somebody's like, did we lose me? I was like, did we really? I wasn't watching.
No, this connection here is complete garbage. I
Yeah.
had to connect to my phone and it's still causing issues. Anyway, you're in the middle of saying something.
I was saying, like, all of that basically, those labels are groundwork so they can go out and do the other things. Again, if I call you an asshole, I'm just being, I'm again attacking you. Whatever. If I'm just calling you ugly or whatever, that's different than calling you incel or Nazi or something else.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's a whole. By the way, there's another layer to all of this that I think we kind of already addressed it briefly, but not in depth. The whole idea that you are on the internet, you are not sitting in a room with these people. These people who throw these words around, like incel and what's some of the other ones that they like to throw around?
Their favorites are gendered, like incel or misogynist or any of that kind of stuff.
Misogynist, like flaccid. Talking about your
well, they attack
drive.
men over. So it's always an attack. That's the incel thing. You can't get laid. They attack over potency. They attack a man. They attack the manhood.
Yes, and throwing these concepts around. They're like, it's almost a desensitization for these people, not just them, on the receiving end too. If you were sitting in a room and there's, let's say, 20 people in the room and there's a party going on and somebody yells across the room like, you are a fucking misogynist, I think the music would be turned off, everything would stop, people would look at each other, go, what the hell is going on here? Do we need to address, is there a problem? Do we need to leave? Do we need to take it outside? There would be an active physical reaction, because those words are very, very powerful, extremely powerful. And especially if you utter them in person, they carry a lot of weight and a lot of value. But on the internet, you're just reading black letters on a white screen, or if you're in dark mode, it's white letters on a black screen now. And it's somebody saying something to you from 800 miles away, 1,000 miles away, 3,000 miles away, 8,000 miles away. It doesn't carry the same meaning, and the user, both the writer and the reader of the text, are desensitized to the fact that these words are just being thrown around like would you like a glass of water? Are you fucking misogynist? Like it's almost like the same thing, in the internet sense.
Well, they do. They devalue terms too. Terms that should have meaning. I mean, we have terms like a sexual abuser or a pedophile. I mean, those terms, those are some of the worst terms that you can have for a reason. I mean, these are some of the worst things that you can do to people. And when they've taken those and watered them down, I mean, that's criminal in so many ways, because people they've watered down any kind of term. I was looking at words like bullying. The stream I had yesterday, like these people were whining because I was bullying, because I was reacting to something. I was telling someone that their opinion online is stupid, and I kept thinking, man, if that's bullying, you've lived a pretty charmed fucking life. But it's the same thing with them just haphazardly calling people and labeling them things. Again, they want to do harm. They hope it does real world harm. But again, they label down the term too.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're all fucked, and I'm here along for the ride, Tug.
That's me, man. I'm just gonna laugh and point. I'm gonna have fun.
That's what I'm doing. Well, listen, man. I don't want to keep you. I really wanted to thank you for joining me. That was very unexpected.
That's good, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Like I said, I've met some good people along the way. I'm glad we ran into each other, and I mean, it's been entertaining so far. So
Likewise. Yeah, we have a long journey ahead of us. This is only the beginning.
hell yeah.
But I think I'm gonna call it a night, you guys. I feel myself. Welcome, Roman, to the channel. I feel myself slowly falling asleep. I know it may not seem like it, but it's late. It's like 2:26 a.m. in my internal clock. So
Yeah.
I was really hoping, maybe too optimistically so, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. We'll get to the goal in tomorrow
You'll
or
get
the
there
next
in the
day.
next. Yeah, you'll get there in the next day. In the next 24 hours, you'll hit that number.
Probably. So we'll have to do a secondary celebratory stream. So, but thanks for joining me, Tug. Thank you,
Yeah.
chat. I really appreciate you all. It says definitely been fun, and I hope you all had some fun. You learned something. We definitely shared some stories. It's been fun, man. Thanks for joining me, Tug.
Yeah, no problem. But I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna go to bed too.
All right.
All right, catch you, brother.
Godspeed. All right, you guys. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like literally. I've been trying so hard not to yawn, because I don't want to appear bored because I'm not. That was one of the most interesting conversations I've had in a long time. Tug is a very intelligent, very sophisticated human being, and I very much appreciated him not just joining me but sharing his knowledge and his wealth of ideas and experiences, not just with me but with you all, because he's definitely a very unique person, and he brings a lot to the table. I learn from him just like you guys learn from me. I learned from him too. So I'm so glad that he was able to come and join, and we're gonna hit our goal next time. Tonight was not the night, and that's okay. I'm just gonna have to rename the title, and we will do our celebration stream. Maybe when I'm like 50 or 100 away, I'll start the stream just to make sure that we hit that goal, so I don't have to keep doing this to you guys. Although I know you guys love to come here, and I know all our current subscribers would love to resubscribe and add to the pool. I saw your comments. Don't think that I was not ignoring you. I was reading the chat as I was talking to Tug, and I from the bottom of my heart, you guys, I'm thanking you so much for all the love that you have been providing. It has been such a journey, and I'm talking like it's about to end. It's not. This is literally, like I just said to Tug, this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning, and I'm looking forward to all the things that we have, that the future holds. We're almost to 250,000, but hell, here's to 1 million, right? We're gonna hit 1 million, I'm sure, sooner rather than later. It's a snowball effect when you're a content creator. You never know, but the bottom line is I want to continue entertaining you guys, making fun content, educational content, entertaining content. And when I can do both, and this is one thing I've learned that is really is a like a trade skill. It's an art, to take dry things like filings by attorneys, like briefs and such, and read them in a way that is fun and funny and engaging and interesting. Like I never thought that I would be able to do that. Honestly, it's not something that you kind of like wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm gonna read briefs and make them fun for people. Like that's not something you think of as a person, as a lawyer, as a human. So that's just one thing, one little niche that I've been able to carve for myself. And like, you know, we did that with Curious George, which we're going to be reading again, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday, but be on the lookout for that one. I'm really, really looking forward to getting Curious George, the next Curious George book. Oh, thank you, Tug Simp. You're awesome, man, or woman. I don't know if you're a male or a female. I always assume male because I'm a guy. It's like a natural instinct, you know, in our heads. But anyway, I feel like I'm rambling at this point. My brain is so exhausted. I'm just like, yap. All right. Thank you very much, every single one of you, for joining me. I had so much fun. Thank you, Tug, for joining me on the stream again. We are going to continue this. We're going to keep this train moving. We're going to bring you guys more entertainment, more content, more education, more fun, more love, more happiness. The DY guy signing off. I love every single one of you, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good night.